Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. We're just waiting for some of our other registrants to trickle in here now that we've opened up the webinar. But while we're waiting on that, I just want to welcome you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. My name is Ariel. I'm with our Partner Alliance team. I just want to give you guys a reminder that this is a webinar, which can count as a training in your Engage app. So if you have the Engage app, you can make sure to log this as an activity in your app as a training and receive points towards your partner tier. And if you have questions about that or need help doing so, please reach out to US_partneralliance@checkpoint.com and we can help you out with getting that figured out in the app. And this webinar will be recorded, so we will be posting it to our Partner Map page under Training and Knowledge. We will also be sending out a recording link of the webinar, but please feel free to ask questions as our presenter presents today. And then Siwei, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Perfect, Ariel. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Siwei Dodge. I am a Sales Enablement Associate with Checkpoint. So what I do is to support our partners around Harmony, which is our remote workforce security suite in certain regions. So even if you're not in those regions, so still please reach out and connect with me after the session with any questions or feedback and how we can make those sessions more relevant to you. Just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. So first of all, I never know when my accent comes out. So if anything isn't clear or if I am speaking too fast, please let me know and I can repeat myself or adjusting my speech speed a little bit. Number two, and today's session is really designed for the sales audience here. So we have a tons of great product information or product demo materials out there on our website, on Bright Talk, on our YouTube channels, as well as in your partner portals. So please feel free to explore these if you're looking for more in-depth product training. However, today's session, well, we are going to touch on a little bit on the product front. It will not be a product demo in any way, shape, or form. So if you have any interests or if you have customers who are interested in a product demo, so please let me know. We can figure something out for your customers. Lastly, if you have any questions, again, please feel free to post your question in the chat or in a QA session. If there are questions that I am not able to answer or address properly, I will make sure to follow up with you after this session to get the answer you're looking for. I know it's very hard these days to hop on yet another Zoom. You probably have been to 10 Zoom meetings already this week and attended 5 webinars, so I appreciate you spending more time here connecting with me. And so now let's get this started then. So with what happened in the last year, we all know it has changed us in many, many different ways, especially around our behaviors. So for example, according to Gartner, 74% of the organizations plan to enable their people to work from home from now on. That is an option. And among those people, 21% of the workforce allow their family members to access their corporate devices for personal uses. And 77% of those people are bringing their own personal devices, such as their mobile phone or their laptop, to do work. So you may be wondering, with all those statistics, how are they relevant to you and how are they relevant to your customers? Well, like I mentioned earlier, with the shift from working in an office environment to be working from home, it has changed our behaviors on many, many levels. That means we no longer stop by someone's desk and have a small chat. Rather, we are leveraging the multiple SaaS applications out there, such as Slack, such as Microsoft Teams, such as Zoom, to communicate with each other. And the boundary between our personal life and work life is getting blurred. We don't see 21% of people are having their family members accessing their desktop in their office, but now, because we're constantly there, our family members are around us, it now becomes a new kind of behavior we see now. And those behavioral, those changes in our behavior or habits has led to a new set of challenges in terms of security. So for example, we saw 50% of increase just in the ransomware attacks in Q3 last year alone, and in comparison to what the first year combined. That means all those changes in our behaviors created gaps in terms of security, and that has led to us wondering, okay, if our behaviors has changed, if those cybersecurity attacks have increased, so what does it mean to our customers? How has this impacted their cyber priorities for 2021? We're onward. So based on a few surveys we have done, and also according to some of the research provided by Gartner, we can see some very consistent priorities. Number one, securing the remote workforce, right? It's not a surprise. And securing the endpoints and mobile devices. The endpoint is no longer just the desktop in someone's office environment. It is also your laptop, maybe your tablets, and along with your mobile phone. And also, not surprisingly, securing someone's public or multi-cloud environment is continuously to be a top priority for a lot of the CISO, CTO, CIOs out there. So what is this changing in your customers' cyber priorities? How can we, Checkpoint, and how can the Harmony solution, which is the workforce security, I'm going to refer you to as Harmony from now on, just to make it easier. So how can Harmony help you and be relevant to solve those challenges for your customers? One of the things that came up last year very early on is even prior, even before COVID happened, many of the organizations out there have their VPN and have their identity protection. And you may have heard a customer saying something like, hey, we made a transition. Our workforce is secure. We provided remote access to our workforce in 10 days, and we're good. However, as time goes on, a number of them and a lot of customers we have talked to started realizing that while these remote access provides a degree of protection, it does not provide productivity or resiliency. So the new driver for securing someone's workforce now becomes not only the protection, but also how can we provide the access so that the users can remain productive when working from home? And how can their organizations stay resilient and not having any outages during those transitions or when allowing their employees to work from home? So these are, given those new business drivers, we now want to help you address, how we can stay relevant to our customers and how we can help you stay relevant to your customers by having a discussion around the workforce security. So let's take a look here. Now, to provide complete protection, we are working towards to provide the protection against all threats, all vectors, and to protect all devices. This is how Harmony can help you be relevant in terms of providing complete protection for your customers. Then, we're also trying to provide the collaboration and usability while offering flexibility when having those discussions by offering Harmony as a consolidated solution. And again, remember the three drivers we're talking about: the productivity, the protection, productivity, and this is how we help you stay relevant in terms of providing the productivity on top of protection for your customers. And then lastly, by helping customers to prepare and prevent and respond to a number of incidents, we help you and your customers to transform their workforce to be resilient, and not just on top of protection as well as productivity. So now let's just have a quick recap. We talk about what's happening or what's going on in the world today, and how are they relevant to your customers, and how are they relevant to you. Therefore, including the Harmony discussion, the workforce discussion in your conversations. So some examples we're going to show you in the next few minutes are really going to around how we're helping certain customers make the transition. So these are just on a very, very high level. Some of the changes we are able to provide, some of the initiatives we're able to achieve for customers with our partners. For example, some of the finance institutions, hospitals and couriers and such. And of course, we have a lot more customers stories we can share in various verticals in various with various components. So with that said, we're gonna just have a little bit closer look into the Harmony solution and into the Harmony suite and the various components included, and a little bit more closer look at some of the use cases. So I know a number of you are very interested in the use cases, and so we're gonna spend a little bit of time on the use cases. So workforce security in the Harmony suite, there are a few components. So number one, endpoint and then mobile in-browser experience, protecting someone's in-browser experience, and email, their SaaS application, and their secure access to internet or corporate, which is also referred to as the Checkpoint SASE solution. So with the various components and the typical conversations we're having with our customers, I want to encourage you to not just have one conversation, or not just having the conversation around any of the specific component, but also asking questions about the rest of it. So if you're talking to a customer about endpoint, so ask them, okay, what are you doing with your mobile security? Okay, what about your email, your SaaS applications, your maybe O365? How are you ensuring these are protected? And do you have branch offices? People need to access the corporate information from from different branch offices, and how are you addressing those needs changes? And what are you doing when to protect your users' in-browse experience from various attacks or ransomware and malware and such? So with that, we're going to kind of move on to a little bit more just in the various components included to give you some context around the Harmony suite to make the rest of the session more relevant. So Harmony Connect, which is also known as Check Point's SASE solution, and SASE is now a very trendy topic. This has been, Gartner has a number of definition around what a SASE architecture looks like, and the various technology partners out there that you may have, and also have a lot of the SASE discussion or SASE solution. So what we want to talk about to you today is that Check Point takes a little bit different approach. So number one is a cloud delivered security. Number two is really a consolidation around 11 different security services that we feel can address a number of use cases. So when you're having a discussion with your customer around the SASE solution, so making sure that, first of all, how are they defining the SASE architecture? SASE solution is not just, SASE is not just one component, it's a various components. So what are the relevant components to your customers? With Check Point, as you can see, there are a number of components involved that we feel that those are the common use, covers the most common use cases. Therefore, the value is in the consolidation. So just take a look at one of the examples that the Access 4 provided to access corporate applications. A lot of times these can be utilized by third-party contractors. You can, because we have a client-based and a clientless-based options for customers to access their corporate applications. The clientless one, leveraging the Zero Trust Network Access, is a great option to address a number of challenges associated with providing access for contractors, for DevOps, et cetera, et cetera. So we have put a huge emphasis in making those remote access very user-friendly. So everything's delivered from within a browser. There is a user portal, personalized, very user-friendly for someone to access any applications, again, based on the ZTNA principles. So let's take a look at one of the use cases for branch offices. So I'm here to share, what we can share. And if you find this format is very relevant or not relevant, please let me know at the end of the session. So I want to make sure that we incorporate more or less of those components down the road for you. So for branch offices, one example is a customers we have in the manufacturing space. Number of the challenges they have encountered is as their business grow, and they have number of branch offices throughout the world. So as their business grow, they are adding more and more branch offices, sometimes in a very short period of time, and protecting their corporate data, their sensitive information across the branches posed a new challenge. So for example, there simply wasn't any consistency. Each branch offices were using their own stack of security, like we saw earlier. Check Point's Harmony Connect is a consolidation of 11 security stacks. So imagine some of the customers might be stitching together more solutions to address the security policies across. So as a result, of course, this was making it very difficult for the CISOs, the CTO, and their IT teams to monitor or maintain any security policies. So with Harmony Connect, the remote access to the corporate applications, the customers was able to spend less time on managing the security, on their security, and automating some of the policies so that they can spend more time on other strategic initiatives. And more importantly, the configuration is simplified so that going to the time spent on configuring each devices has reduced dramatically, and they're now able to manage everything from a central console in their headquarters. So let's take another look at one use case again for Harmony Connect. But the initiative is not really started from the conversation around remote workforce, but rather from the cloud transformation. This is another thing I want to point out is sometimes when I talk to partners and their folks in sales, one of the challenges they may bring up is that, hey, we want to talk to our partners about their remote workforce initiatives. However, their focus right now is really on the cloud transformation. It sounds like those two things are mutually exclusive, which is not. And this is a perfect example of how some of the cloud transformation projects turn into relevance, turn into a very relevant thing for the workforce security here. This is another example in the customers we have in manufacturing and something in the chemical products. A number of the challenges they have. So, for example, when they started moving everything from on-prem to their cloud services, that includes Salesforce, that includes their O365, that includes their public cloud, AWS and such. Not only they need protection from their sensitive business data, but also to protect their IP, intellectual property, such as their recipes to make this chemical products, to stay competitive. So lastly, one of the challenges associated with their on-prem architecture was that they were rerouting everything from their branch offices to their corporate offices in order for the end users to access internet or other corporate applications. That posed a lot of the challenges with it's latency, everything is going through the corporate. Again, with the growing number of branch offices and a number of growing cloud-based applications, it just became less doable over time. So they started having an overhaul on the digital transformation completely. And that said, there are a number of Harmony components that were relevant in this conversation. One is Harmony Connect, which customer has utilized to deploy, to apply a single, very consistent security policy across their branch offices. As a result, reducing their admin costs and making sure that they're staying compliant and they're able to protect their remote offices from threats. And it's very easy to deploy. The customer were able to deploy a new sign in 5 minutes or less, including getting a cup of coffee in the middle of the process. How nice, huh? And the second component that was relevant to this customer was the Harmony Email and Office, which we will touch on just in a few minutes. So the Email and Office helped transforming from, helped to protect their Microsoft, Office 365 email along with their OneDrive, SharePoint, and the Office suite. So again, like my point being, sometimes when you are having a discussion with a customer, don't get turned off just because someone's saying their initiatives are not necessarily the workforce security, but cloud security. Let's have a discussion. Let's ask what exactly those initiatives look like. What are the projects involved? Does that include moving someone's on-prem Exchange server to be the cloud O365 applications? If so, this is a perfect example like how some of the Harmony component can be relevant and some of the workforce security solutions can be relevant. So now let's move on to another Harmony browse. Just a quick recap, there are, on a very broad level, there are 5 Harmony components. Email Office is one of them. Harmony Endpoint, which we haven't touched on, but will. There's also mobile protection. There's also the SASE solution, Harmony Connect. And this is the Harmony Browse, which is to secure your customers and users' internet browsing experience. So this solution on a very high level is powered by Nano Agents. It inspects all the SSL traffic without slowing down, your customer's browsing experience, which has been one of the challenges faced by traditional browsing security solutions. So it prevents any malware downloads, phishing, and corporate password exposure. So a number of the challenges that we have seen in terms of browsing is sometimes it can be, again, like any security solution, sometimes it can be very complicated to deploy or configure or management. And then a lot of times the protection itself is not complete. And more importantly, some of the solutions slows down the browser experience, which, if you recall, we talk about 3 business drivers. Not only your customers are now today looking at complete protection, but also to provide end user with to protect their end users' productivity. And slowing down someone's in-browse experience does not provide that. And again, this is how, the various components of Harmony to help you stay relevant in your customers, in those conversations with your customers. And so a couple potential target customer profiles and use cases we can touch on. One of which is, of course, anyone is looking to an alternative to SWG but lightweighted. The other one is safe browsing. Anyone has safe browsing experience initiatives. Very commonly, we have seen this in schools where students need to be protected from accessing any age-inappropriate content when they're doing homework on the browser, whatever that is. So it could be another use case there. And traditionally, where someone, if you've been with Check Point for a while, you may be familiar with various components of those, the Harmony components. And Harmony Browse was included in the previous, it's called SandBlast Agent as a part of the kind of plugin. So today I am not able to share with you any specific kind of detailed use cases or examples like I did before, but this simply because this is a kind of plugin included previously in another product, now is a standalone feature. Will feel like the change will feel like is the necessary change that we need to bring together the various components to make the entire suite more attractive. So with email and Office, Harmony Email and Office, there are a few functionalities and it provides. So what you see here is really a demonstration of ransomware attacks, how it can, from the sender to the attachment to links and such, to identify what the threats are potentially and blocking them. In addition, Harmony Email and Office can help your customers block phishing attacks without impacting productivity, or malware without impacting productivity, preventing any account takeover, or any sensitive business data. If you're sharing, your customer sharing any financial information using a spreadsheet, that, again, those information will be protected. One of the challenges just in email protection in general, or any of those Office applications in general, is that it has been a main target or leading attack vector across organizations we have seen. And, well, as human beings, we have our weaknesses. We like to click on things. And sometimes those ransomware or phishing emails look really, really legit. For example, it might be from your HR department, might be accepting applicants for certain job openings. And a number of these ransomware attacks or phishing attacks look like someone sent you a resume. So it's very easy for someone just open and click on something that resulting in unnecessary challenges for your IT team and causing the spread of any number of account takeover attempts and such. So these are just it's kind of a quick example of, although we all know we should be careful of what we click on or not click on, sometimes it's very challenging given the job function we're in. We're not always looking at the various components. What is a malware? What is a malware? What is a ransomware? What is a phishing email? So that it is your customer CISO, their CIO, CTO, their IT department's responsibility to make sure that they're taking into those human behaviors into consideration and protecting their end users from those kind of attacks. Some quick steps that just tells you how important email has become over the past few years and the number of increasing attacks associated with email in particular. Again, any changes opens up the new gaps in terms of security for your customers. And because of it, a number of triggers we see in terms of email protection needs is, again, increase in security breaches. Anyone who may have digital transformation or cloud adoption, like we saw from one of the examples earlier, the conversation did not necessarily start with workforce security, but rather it started from cloud transformation. Someone perhaps moving from their on-prem Exchange server to Cloud O365. A number of the customers, typically speaking, we want to talk to customers who has O365 as their SaaS applications, or they're moving their email solution to O365 and looking for protection for their new cloud environment. I've included here the information we have around the top winning verticals, the typical deal sizes, along with the highest win rates, just to give you some idea. So now we're going to look at some of the examples and on some of the deals we have won in the past. This is a customer who is in Atlanta, in the U.S. A number of Checkpoint products is being utilized is the email in office and endpoint. So the project really started with their previous solution is going end of life. It's a competitor of Checkpoint. However, with any solution going end of life, there has been less support, less maintenance. Therefore, the customer started to experience more attacks of malware and ransomware. And when they have moved to the Cloud O365, a number of phishing attacks increased as well, along with malware. So as a result, through the POC process, our team, working with our partners and regional experts, security engineers, a number of sales folks involved as well, to help the customer to identify, what are the potential solutions to address their business challenges. And throughout the POC, and the customer was able to see the kind of phishing attacks happened and the attempts of account takeovers happened, and they immediately see the value. So one kind of just a side note here, if you guys like this format more than the ones we shared earlier on the kind of business challenges, please let me know where you prefer one over the other, one is more relevant to you than the other. Please let me know so we can adjust some of the formats to make everything more relevant to you. Another example is a company, engineering company, And again, the projects are really around to protect their cloud O365 emails, OneDrive, and SharePoint, and preventing those cloud SaaS applications from phishing and malware issues. I keep pronouncing it wrong, I think. The sales cycle here, we are able to show you a little bit more information here. The sales cycle is about 6 months. And again, during the POC process, the customers was able to see the tremendous value because it reported, how many phishing attempts, over 4,000, close to 5,000 phishing attempts in 30 days. And the solution instantly scans all of their mailboxes and was able to catch all those attacks. So if you look at the couple examples we have shown here, a number of these, really the deals comes down to, for customer to see the value in the POC process. So if you have customers who may be in a similar situation, or you may be having a similar dialogue, conversation, please let us know if you want to arrange or talk about a POC for your customers. The other two components of the Harmony Suite, endpoint and mobile. So we're going to start just on the endpoint for now, and we'll talk about the mobile in a minute. So endpoint security, really what it does on a very high level is it's going to prevent any zero-day threats. It's going to block ransomware and reduce the attack surface for your customers. On a high level, some of the buying triggers we have seen for endpoint securities is, again, the number of increased security breaches. There are certain use cases that we have too, but not able to share in details here today, is that someone may be having their desktop protections or laptop in the office, but they want to make sure their employees are not copying any sensitive, like a patient data or client's financial data from a USB drive. So these are potentially some of the use cases for endpoint security. Again, among all the customers and verticals, there are a few kind of low-hanging fruits, if you will. In certain verticals are specifically the ones with a lot of compliance initiatives, and we're able to show the highest win rates here in the 100 to 5,000 employees. All these solutions, they're not necessarily just for existing customers. There are examples that we acquired new customers just through various Dimension activities, and we will spend the last bit of the conversation here today talking about the various support we can help you with in terms of Dimension. So for one example to show the endpoint protection, this is a customer, again, in the manufacturing space. They also look at one of the competitors out there of ours. The sales cycle, again, is roughly about 4 months, just to give you some ideas, and partner was actively participate in the entire sales process throughout, including the pricing negotiation and such. A number of you probably are very familiar with Check Point's endpoint security products. This has been one of the very mature solutions out there, previously known as Sandblast Agent. Another example from a customer in EU, the initiatives are a little bit different. They are, again, looking for a consolidated management for various areas, that including network security, endpoint, and mobile securities. The conversation really started from someone already just recently, purchased their data center security solutions with Check Point, and our team was able to kind of having a different conversation or add to their existing conversation around, what are they doing with endpoint, what are they doing with their mobile security, and such and such. So the last bit component of the Harmony suite is the mobile protection. So essentially what the capabilities on a high level, again, there are a lot more details you can find on the website or various in-depth product training. But here on the high level, the mobile protection allows your customers to stay free from all the malicious applications downloads and provides a report in real time on what are the potential risks or any incidents they found, and stopping any network-based attacks. Again, the challenges with mobile security has really increased over the past few years, mainly because we are relying more and more on our cell phone to do not just personal life, but also business. And mobile devices, therefore, become a very popular attack surface. A number of stats associated with the mobile usage, along with the security market, can tell you the same thing. So I'm not going to bore you with all the stats here. One thing I want to point out, however, is there has been a number of, you may hear this from time to time from customers around, we already have UEM or MDM, so why do we need another solution? This is a great question. So one thing we want to point out is when you are having those discussions, it's great. First of all, that means your customers are doing something as an attempt to manage their mobile devices. They're not completely leaving those devices unmanaged. They're trying to do something. So let's try to figure out what exactly the initiatives around their mobile devices. Are they just simply managing them, or are they also looking to protect the mobile devices from a number of threats out there? So, let's make sure that we understand these business requirements specifically. And you may find out during those conversations that there has been a misconception from your customers around what UEM or MDM does or doesn't do. They may have, sometimes it's very, they may think it also includes additional protection, but it's not. In that case, we want to really understand how the solution capabilities look like if they are also talking about the mobile security portion, and what exactly the features and functionalities should be included or not. Triggers for buying, similar to the other ones, there's human elements into all the components. So if we get a phishing text that looks like someone, your customers might be looking at purchasing housing. Right now, the housing market is very, very hot. So they may be talking to a realtors and getting text messages on various, about various property listings. Then again, one of the text messages may be a phishing text with a link that leading to a whole different site than what your customer intended to go. Again, that's the kind of the stories we can use or incorporate in the dialogue when we're talking to customers about how they are going to secure, protect their employees from things like this, and be relevant. One thing again, let's make sure we pointed this out, and here is the mobile devices, management customers, MDM, UEM, EMM. The Harmony Mobile integrates with a number of technology partners that provide MDM, and et cetera, and it requires a customer to have those installed before, to have installed on their devices in order to use Harmony Mobile. So I want to point that out so you know what you're dealing with. Example here for Harmony Mobile, this is from a government agency. As the number of licenses increased, as you can see, the sales cycle kind of reflects that too. We previously 4 months, 6 months, now it's like 1 year's sales cycle. And again, there's because it's in EU, the situation may be a little bit different. We can see the data privacy regulations is one of the considerations for their projects. Therefore, we're addressing those elements, how these mobile, Harmony Mobile is protecting their users, their privacy. Now, just a quick recap of what we just went through. Besides the relevant 3 business drivers, we kind of dive into a little bit more. We took a closer look at Harmony and the various components included. And if you look at the number of use cases we just shared, there are a few commonalities. So for example, a number of them mention the simplified management, utilizing Harmony and having better control of the security policy, and it's easy to manage, use, and now it's also easy to buy. So what we want to encourage you is not just having the discussion of one component of the remote workforce security, but also all the other elements, all the other components. When you're having a dialogue around mobile security, ask them what they're doing with their endpoint. Ask them what are they doing with their email office, and et cetera, et cetera. So very, very quickly, I am going just to show you what the pricing looks like. Previously, if you're familiar with Checkpoint or has been with Checkpoint for a while, probably longer than me, the endpoint was, SandBlast Agent. It was called SandBlast Agent, SandBlast Mobile, CloudGuard SaaS. And the pricing now included in the packaging is very compelling in comparison to a la carte solutions out here. So again, we want to make sure that when you talk to your customers, talk about the advantages in the simplified pricing and unified pricing as well. Now, in terms of demand gen activities, there are a few ways we can support you. So we're not going to spend a lot of time here today talking about the demand gen 101. I'm sure all of you have, a way to acquire customers, to nurture your leads through your sales process. So let me share a few ways we can help and the ways you can engage me. So we can share a little bit intelligence with you, or around if you have certain targets, let us help. Let us provide you with additional business intelligence, that including some of the technology stacks provided by a third party and or contact information, et cetera, et cetera. White space report, what that means is that if you have done a number of projects with Checkpoint and you probably have customers most likely using the legacy Checkpoint solutions like Quantum for firewall, the data center security and such. Let's look at those customers and who they are, what they have, what they don't have, and what are the opportunity or use cases for us to go in and say, let's have a conversation around, their cloud security, around their workforce security sector, et cetera. So essentially, it's the land and expand approach. Dual registration, this is, as our partners, and we want to encourage you to take advantage of what's going on in the world today and be relevant. And so if you do have dual registrations for the Harmony solution, you're getting these discounts. Additional activities we can support you. And so if you have a number of customers or accounts you're targeting, engage me, engage us, engage anyone from Checkpoint you're working with on account mapping. We can support you on a number of events you want to do, webinars, any kind of email or call scripts. So there will be a campaign in a box coming soon, but not at the moment. So as you can see, this is what's going to look like very soon for prepackaged campaigns that's going to be available in your Campaign Central. You can purchase any of the packages using your co-op and such. However, if you don't, if you want to just do something more customized, or if you want to, talk to me about specific use cases or a vertical you're targeting, reach out with any questions or requests, and we'll figure out a way to help you. So again, thank you very much. This is pretty much the end of this session, and I hope I did not speak too fast. I feel like I missed out something. And hopefully it was clear enough for you to get, to get enough information out of this session. Again, if there are any questions, please let me know. And any requests, any things you want to talk about around Dimension you're interested in doing, so let me know. I see there are maybe, okay, thank you. Thank you guys. Again, if there are, examples, you're interested in any email scripts, you want to find out, what we know that's working or not working, please let us know. I'm happy to share those information with you. So, so that said, I want to close today with a quote I just thought of. This is how unscripted all these presentations I do. So one quote I came across recently, it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And this is exactly why we have partners like you, why we want to encourage all of you to engage us, to leverage us. So let's go together, right, and go far. And thank you today for spending your time with me.
All right. Thank you again, Seaway, for your time and for being our presenter for this monthly partner training webinar. We really appreciate it. And thank you again to our audience for joining us today. And as I said in the beginning, I will be sending up a follow-up email today with the recording link of today's webinar. We'll be posting it as well. Don't forget to log it as a training activity in your Engage app for points towards your partner tier. And if you have any questions for Seaway, please let us know. Thank you.